So today we are starting with the Dataverse.
Okay.
Dataverse is also exactly similar as like a SharePoint, but having some different functionalities or what's it, some concepts over there. Let's see one by one. See here, yesterday we have created one solution, right? In that solution, we are having table source. These tables are nothing but we can call it as Dataverse tables. Like this. So I just created one table here, this table, table one. If we open it, see this table. If we open it, it will give you this kind of overview. Here we will be having columns, relationships, forms, views, charts, dashboards, as well as the business tools. Now we are going to see one by one all these concepts. This forms, how we're gonna make forms, how we're gonna make views, charts, dashboards, everything. Here, I'm just showing about the columns. Yesterday, we have already seen related to columns in the SharePoint. Exactly in that similar way, we are seeing here how, like, what kind of columns we can create, what kind of data types are there, and what kind of by default columns we are getting here in the data. Okay. So here you can see, I'll show you one thing. Here we are getting one primary column, the name primary column by default. In the SharePoint, in the SharePoint, it was like title column over there. But here in the Dataverse, it's a primary column that to required one. That to required one. Why I'm focusing on this point? Because when we create the Canvas application, and if we are using the Dataverse as a data source, then at that moment this primary column will create some problems over there. So we need to take care of this thing, the required columns, what columns are required, what columns are not required. So we need to take care of these things in mind while coding over there in the Canvas application. So remember, we will be having one primary name column required in the Dataverse. Now, afterwards, I'll show you one more thing here. Let me just select the primary column and see here here we are getting exactly similar name as the name of our table, the table one. The table one. It is a unique identifier. This column will be a unique identifier. I'm just selecting this name and the table one. Save it. Unique identifier, that means if I create a record here, name, Humera. So, see, it will create one unique ID over there. So this unique identifier will be very useful while doing lookups, while doing, updating and creating records in Dataverse from the, from the Power application, like from the Canvas application. So this also should be an important point that we need to take care that, okay, we are having one unique identifier with the same name of a table. Now, let me show you one more thing here. Let me just hide floating meeting controls. Here in the, let me just open the SharePoint. In the SharePoint as well, okay. Just a moment. I'm just opening the SharePoint here. No, it's a model driven. In the SharePoint also we'll get one unique identifier. Editable. But that unique identifier will be like of number over there, not the unique identity, the unique key. It will be a number.
Answer what? Remember, what's the difference between that number and this number? It is like encrypted one or what?
Actually, it will create the unique key. Okay, data, I'm sure. No, it's a client environment. Let me just go into the other side. Okay, when did the test? Here we are having one list, test list. In the test list, here we will be having ID column. Instead of that, uh, in the dataverse, we are getting exactly name similar as our list name. Table, as we created table one, it's showing the table one, the unique identifier. But here in the SharePoint list, we will be having the ID column. That will be like the unique identifier. Let me just show you. Here in the column setting, we are having one show and hide columns option. Here, see, this is the ID column. Now, it will be unique for every, the record. It will be unique for every record. Now, suppose if I delete this one, if I delete third record, suppose if I delete the third record, and if I create again one more record here, see, it is creating 7. Okay. It is not creating the third one. Once, if we delete any record, then that number won't be repeated here, won't be repeated. This ID will be unique for every record. Getting my point? Now, suppose if I delete the 7th one, after 6, if I'm creating one more record, like this, it will create 8, not 7. That means this ID column will be unique for every record. For every record. So this ID column will be very useful while creating application in the Canvas application. While coding your code by using the, PowerFX language over. So we need to take care of this ID column here in the SharePoint, and here in the Dataverse, this unique identifier. It will be unique for every record. It
Mira,
is also be unique. Yeah.
we have deleted that data, right? It's gone.
Yes.
So the unique
Yes.
ID we can get the unique ID, right? It's already deleted. It's not in the uh,
No. No.
account, right?
But the
So
thing is like the data will be related with some other data. It can be a lookup column. So it should not be get, the conflict between both of the lookup columns value and this value. That's why this ID column will be always unique.
Okay.
Getting my point?
Yeah.
Yeah. It will be always uniform to avoid just that conflicting between the lookups of different lists. That's why it will be always uniform. Here in the dataverse also, it is also similar in that way, but it's a key. Here we are getting a key. There we are getting a number. That's it. As well as in the SharePoint Online, if we want to create one more unique identifier according to our convenience and the requirement, then also we can create. Let me show you. Here also, we can create the number column. If I select a number, see, here we are having the type, symbols, the custom one, more options, 8. Here, we can modify it according to our convenience. These things will be there. Even also, we can make it as a calculated column. Suppose you want to calculate something. You want to add data of 2 columns. You want to plus the 2 values of 2 different columns. Then also we can make it a calculated column over here in the SharePoint. That calculated column concept is not widely used in the SharePoint, but it is very useful in the dataverse over there. So we can also make one custom unique identifier as well in the SharePoint as well as in the dataverse. But we usually use the default ID columns. Default ID columns in the SharePoint Online and default unique identifier in the database. So just remember this point. We are having some default unique identifiers. Let's go into the dataverse. Here it is a table. I'm just duplicating this tab here. If we go into the columns, it will list out all the columns. And see, here table 1, it's showing unique identifier. One more thing in the dataverse, it is like the names. Let me go here. First, we will create one column. I'm taking, suppose, department. Single line of text column. Okay. Here, the department we are giving the name, and it is creating one schema name over here. Schema name, new underscore department. So, while creating application in the Canvas application, sometimes we need to write these names, this schema names over. As well as in the Power Automate flows too. If we are filtering something over there in the actions, if we are filtering in the actions of the Power Automate, then also we need to give the name of the schema name of the column. It will be like the particular main name, we can say in the Power Automate, or sometimes in the Canvas application as well. Here, one more concept is like the schema name. But this kind of schema name, we won't get in the SharePoint. But here we are getting it. Let me just save it. I'm going here in the columns. Let me just remove it. We have created one department column. See how we copy the schema names. You just need to click here, go into advanced, use copy schema. One more thing is there, logical link. In some scenarios of the Power Automate, we also need to, write the logical names over it. It won't take the schema name. It won't take your manual name. It will ask for the logical name of particular column. So we will be having the logical names as well. Let me just copy it. I'll show you how it's giving a logical. See, for this, it is the same. New department. And use the schema. Here, the only difference is what? See, in the logical name, we are getting a small d. In a schema name, we are getting a capital D. And it is a by default things. We don't know when we get the small letters and when we get the capital letters. It's totally depends on the by default, functionality over there. The logical name and schema name totally can be different as well. So we need to take care of those things. Just remember these, points over there. Now, here I'll show you what kind of different types will be available of the data type. Here in the data type, we are having a text, number, date and time, lookup, exactly similar which we have created in the SharePoint. In that way only it is a lookup. The choice column. See, in the choices, we are having a choice as well as the yes, no type column. Currency, see here auto number. Auto number, that means it will by default create 1, 2, 3, 4 for you. Even you can modify it as well, what kind of auto number you want. One more thing is that here we are getting the image column, image and the files column. Most important part, here we are getting a formula column. We are not getting any kind of formula column in the SharePoint column, but here we are getting a formula column. In the formula column, we can write the code to make one column dynamic. Suppose, let me just explain you. Suppose you are having two columns and you want to multiply the values of those columns into the third column, then we can make the calculated column. I'm just giving you a very simple example, but we can do much more by using the calculated column. Okay, so we are having one concept with the calculated column too. We need to write some codes to get the results over. Getting the points? Any question till here?
No, like files you told, right? What type of files we can upload?
The PDF, whatever you want to upload, that kind of files.
It doesn't have anything certain file type, right? All file types it can accept.
Yes, it will.
Okay.
Okay. So here we are having concept of this formula columns. I think if I'm not going wrong, then here we also have one roll up column. Let me just check because they have also updated recently. Earlier, we were having one roll up column as well. I think it's merged with the calculated column only. Roll-up column also was like exactly similar in the way of the calculated column, but it will by default give you the result, which there was like, there is no need to write any code over there. It will give you the results by default. So that was the roll up call. It will create, some addition, some subscription part, some, multiplication kind of thing. So that kind of column also was there in the roll up. Now, let's go into the other part here. In the table, first
Humera,
we have
you
seen,
opened that calculate this one, right? Can you show a small example for that?
okay, sure, we'll see. We'll create one calculated column here in the columns, new column. What I will do is I will create one number column. Subject code suppose. I'm taking it as a number column. Department. Create one. Let's set a cap. We will take some not status subject code, comma, department code. Save. Now, let's see by testing. I'm creating a record here. Let me just add those columns from here. Calculate subject code and this one. Save. It will create a view for us. It's nothing but a view. Now here, sample subject code. I'm writing 10. Here 20. Wait. Edit column. See, we need to write in a sequence the subject code and the department code. It will do sum. We can perform any mathematical calculations over there, as well as we can do concatenate. If you wants to concat some, text over there. If you are having two or three columns, you want to make one. Suppose you are having the first name and the last name column. You want overall full name, then we can use the concat function over there. So in that way, we can create the calculate column. Getting me?
Yeah, got it. Can we do the same thing for rows also? Only
Rows in the
columns or
sense.
rows? It's like same thing like what if it is in the type of rows, like example your 10 is on the top exam, 20 is in the Humera column, and the
Mhm.
last one should be the sum, like that. Vertical
Yes.
sum.
In the vertical also, we can perform it. If you want the overall, the what say the sum for this particular row, for example, overall one column from top to bottom. You want, you are asking that way, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So in that way also we can make calculate column. We need to, code differently over there. That's it. So here the other part is of relationships. See here, you can see some relationships. One to many to one, and one more will be there. Let me just type here. In the dataverse, we will be having three kinds of relationships. One to many to one, and third one is many to many. One to many, nothing but the lookup relationship. That means from one particular column, we can get or we can make the relationship. Suppose here, just I'm giving you example. Here it is one list having one column, manage column. You are putting some values here. And this customize is a different list. You are having one column, the customized column in that. And you are looking into this list. Here, you are adding the values like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These kind of values, suppose you are adding in the managed. In the customized column, that is, you are making a lookup column, then we can take these values number of times. Like we can, look into this particular value number of times. Like suppose in the customized, here, suppose we are having the columns, we are having the values like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here in the customized column, we can write like 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 5 times 1. That means 1 to many relationship. 1 to many. Getting my point? How I am explaining? 1 to many relationship. That means from one particular values, we can use number of time here in the lookup column. That's why we are calling it as the one to many relationship. Getting it?
Yeah, can you perform and show that like with an example? Like,
Okay. Okay. In the lookup, wait, I'll make it duplicate. Let me just show you here in the tab first for the one to many relationship. Because here are only use of related to the lookup. This many to one and many to many is not like that much, what's useful here. The only thing is related to the one to many, that is the lookup column. So let me just have one department column. This is the department column. I'm giving department 1, department 2, department 3. Now, I'm having one more column, that is associated department. Okay. For the department, suppose this particular employee wants to look into the department column, and 3 particular persons are there, and they are looking into this department column, and those 3 particular persons those 3 particular persons are from the same department, like department 1, department 1, department. So that's why it's creating a relationship from one particular value to so many values here in this column. 1 to many in that. Now getting it? Still have confusion?
No, no, got it, got it.
So similar in that way, many to one. Many to one means like here, these are the many. Department 1, department 1, department 1. So it is creating many to one, vice versa. 1 to many from here, many to one from here. Associated department to the department, it is creating the many to one relationship. From department to the associated department, it's creating 1 to many relationship. Now, one more concept is there, many to many. That means from so many values, we can create exactly so many values in the other column. That will create the many to many relation. Exactly. It is just depends on the values, which values we are using in the different columns. It's just that relationship, nothing more fancy. Okay. And
Values
we
are
are going
for
to use,
data, right?
yes, data. So
Okay.
we call it as value or items, we can call it.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So that means one single row. Here we are having in the table, let me go into the edit ones. These are the values we are having. But this overall one row, we can call it as an item. This is the item. Okay. This is the item. Clear this point for the relationships?
Yeah, yeah.
And what about Amisha? Are
Yeah,
you
it's
clear with
clear.
this?
Clear.
Yeah. Okay. Now, the other part. I'm going here in the forms. As in the model-driven application, we are going to use only Dataverse over there. So we need to make forms to display the data, to add the data into the Dataverse. So Dataverse itself providing the forms over there. There is no need to manually make a different forms or anything. Here, in the Dataverse itself, we can create the forms. Let me show you. In the forms, we are having by default forms, quick view, main, and card. That means just we can create a new form as well, but by default, it's giving us for an example, they are giving. So we can also create a new form. I'm going into the main form only. Main form. We can also create a new form, new main form. We can give the name to that form particularly. Whatever modification you want, we can do over there. Suppose I have opened one new form. Here, from the display name, we can give the name test form. Now, here we are getting by default two columns, name and owner. This owner is coming from where? Let me show you this part. Let me just hide this meeting floating controls. Here in the tables, in the table, in the columns, as the data was giving us by default columns, it's also giving a owner column by default. That means whoever is creating the record in the by default background, it will directly give us a name over there. So it is a owner column, by default column. Okay, got it? So this owner we are getting here in the form. And this is the primary column, name column. That is the required column. I'm just taking this owner column here at the side. We can drag and drop the things here in the form. See, I have just drag and drop it here. Now, here we can change the layout. Suppose this related, I don't want this tab. So we can hide also this one. Let me just see the hide option here. It will get hide. This is the general tab. We can change the name for it. I will give test tab. Like this. Again, I'm just select overall this console here. Overall this console. From here, components will be there. From the component section, we can make one column tab, two column. We can also create some sections, quick view, subgrid, that kind of layouts you can give. Layouts, space, grid, editable grid. These things are there. I'll just create one simple form. I'll show you how it's gonna work. I'll take from here also we can do formatting of the layout. It is a one column. One column, that means it will create these fields one by one, one by one. If you want side by side, we can create two column section. Two column section. See, it will give you side by side, as well as we can type the width as well of the sections. Suppose I want a ratio like 60 to 40. So we can also give that kind of modifications too. Like suppose 50 to 50. This should be 50%. This should be 50% of overall width. So it will take that much width only. So like that. Now, here it is giving us the name by default. We can also delete it. If you don't want, we can delete as well. Now, in this section, I want to add more columns. Whatever columns we have in the tables, we can add those columns here. Once see these things, the layout part. What kind of things are there? These things are there. Now, here in the table columns, this section is there. It will show you all the columns are there in your table. It will list out those columns. We can choose according to the department. Suppose I'm choosing a department. See the department. Again, the department code. The department code. Now, I'm selecting this section. I want to segregate the columns with in different sections. We can give the different names. Suppose for the department info, I'm creating this section for the department info like this. Again, in this section, what I want, this layout. Layout means the label, left and top. These are showing into the left and the values will be on the right side. But I want in this way. Like this. The names should be on top and values should show below of that particular name. In this way, we can do, format in that way. Remember, in the model-driven application, all the things in the model-driven application, all the things will depend on these things only of the of the dataverse. Whatever forms you are creating, it will be displayed in the model-driven. Whatever views you are creating, it will be displayed in the model-driven. So, before making the model-driven application of the Power Apps, we need to configure everything in the Dataverse data source. Whatever data you have in the Dataverse, we need to modify overall data first in the Dataverse. Then only we can make the model-driven application. Getting my point? Today, I'm just showing
Can you
you
repeat
all.
the last two thing? A modern driven app can be the data, what you told about the data, creation of data.
I'm telling that if you are going to make model-driven application, then everything in the model-driven application will be depend on the Dataverse only. So whatever modification you want in your model-driven application, then we need to perform here in the Dataverse itself. All the forms, views, dashboards, charts, anything. So whatever data you have, you need to modify that data here in the Dataverse itself. Then only you can make, you can make the model-driven application for the canvas application. Yes.
So यहाँ पे whatever we are making, that will work as data source in model driven application, right?
Exactly.
So
yes,
whatever we are doing here, we will see as data source, right?
Today just to see the things here. Tomorrow we'll
What am
create
I
one
asking?
model-driven. Mhm.
Whatever we are doing right now, like this, like all these things we are column, whatever we are seeing right now,
Mhm.
that we are doing just for the sake that for the understanding on this particular page only, right?
Exactly, I'm not getting your point. Can you
What
once repeat?
See, we are creating a form here, right?
Right.
On Dataverse.
Yes.
And when we'll go to the model driven app, we will only see it as data source, like data as a database, it will go there.
Exactly.
So we'll only access the list there, whatever we are doing, that we are doing so that we can like perform the things here. We can department code whatever the thing we are doing here. See, for example, level column and this margins and those
Let me,
things.
don't be confused. Don't be confused. Just give me a moment. Let me show you one thing. Suppose you are clear with the SharePoint list, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So just let me just save and publish. I'll show you. See, come here in the table once. We are having columns in the table. Okay. We are having columns in the table exactly in the same way like the SharePoint one. You are clear with this?
Yeah, I'm clear with this. I'm getting confused in the form that
Let
particular
me let
part
me
forms.
let me complete my point. Here, suppose we are having the columns. In the columns, we are performing the CRUD operations. Whatever you want to create, delete, update, whatever you want to do with the data. So we are performing those operations here in the columns itself. Now, suppose if we are making in the solution itself, we are in the solution only. Suppose I'm going to make one model-driven application of the PowerApps. I'm just going here. Test. Create. If we are making this application, now see, we need to add one page here. Add page. We are getting data from the Dataverse. Here, we can only use data source as a Dataverse. Just let me complete my point, then ask you a question, okay? Here, what column we have created? Let me just check. The table one we have created. I'll just the table one. It is showing you your table one. I'm adding that table one here. By selecting a add page, it will list you out all the tables present in your Dataverse. If we choose the table, then we need to add it. Afterwards, by default, it's gonna create one overview that is the application overall. It is the application. Now here, see, by default, it's giving us our data, the name, this thing. If we go into the new, so see, here we are getting form, right? This form is coming from the Dataverse. We are modeling the data over there in the Dataverse, then only we can get that particular form here. If I go here, let me go back. And what I'm doing, this main form, test form, I am deleting this one. Let me delete from this environment. I am deleting this one. Now, click on all, publish all customization. Whatever we perform, we need to publish everything. So, it will take some time to publish the things. Wait for a moment. It's get published. Now in the application, we have created the app. I'm opening it. Okay, we have not published, that's why it's not showing. Again, we need to select the data was table. From here, the table one, the table one. This is the table one. If I go on the new to create the record here, it will give you that by default format.
That was my question only. I was in that impression that we will only able to get that record only. By clicking on new, we are getting the form also. That is what my question was, that will we be able to see that form on the model driven app or not? That
Exactly.
was so now it is
Exactly.
clear. What I was
Yeah.
thinking, we are only like using that form in the
No,
dataverse only, and
no.
here we can go to the form and we can add the data here, and then we'll see in
We
those
can
row over. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
So we are create. That's why I'm telling you that
yeah,
everything, whatever we will gonna get in the modern driven application, then it's totally depend on the dataverse. How you are modeling your data in the dataverse.
yeah. That form is
That
also
only
present here.
exactly that only will get into this application.
Okay.
That's why I'm from the very beginning, I'm telling that, okay, this particular Power Apps application of the modern driven, then it's totally depend on the dataverse itself. All the things. Suppose now you got the point related to the, what's say, the form. If I
Yeah,
go here in the view, this is the view. This is showing only two columns here. Now, suppose if I go here, let me go back. We need to publish it. Otherwise, or else we need to save and publish. Otherwise, it won't show you the things again. We'll see the overall things here, this navigation part, these things. But just to get the understanding, I'm showing you like the in a very simple manner. So I'm going here in the tables, the table one. After forms, we are having a view section. We can create number of views. Suppose the active table one. These are some by default views. It's the given by the dataverse itself. It's giving some by default views. From this application, suppose if I go here, see, it will list out all the views here. The active table, the inactive. These these views are here. The active table, the inactive table. These kind of. We can create one new view as well. Suppose I'm going into the existing active table. I'm clicking on it. See, these two columns is showing there in the table, right? This one, this one. Now, I want to modify this view. I want to display more columns here. So, we can't do anything from this application. We need to go into the dataverse. We need to go into the views. I don't want this created one from here. we can remove it from the view column. We can add these columns, like I want the department code here. I want to show the other one, let's say the subject code. I want to show that calculated column like this. Again, here the name, I want to sort it. Sort by, I want to sort by, suppose, department code. It will sort by the department code. Filter, we can apply filter as well. Suppose here we are having one status column. By default, status column will be there. Status is active. Suppose status is equal to, I want to show the records with the inactive status. We are having both these two records with the active status. So suppose I want inactive records only. If I select this one, it won't give us the record for the inactive one. Later. Edit filter. Remove active, only inactive, then OK. See, it is not showing any record. If we select in the filters, if I go and if I select the active records, then it will display the records accordingly. So we can apply the filters as well. We can use the sort by functionality, as well as we can give the name to this particular view. We can add the columns. We can add, we'll see this related one part because it is related to the lookup functionality over there. So while developing the application, we'll see these things, some more things about this. So now I'm validating this one. We need to first validate. Then we need to save and publish. After saving and publishing, then only this view will be visible in the application. Now, if I refresh this one, wait a minute, I need to refresh from here. Hard refresh.
Imera, can you end this today, like for
Yeah,
here?
okay. Just I'm
So
just
many things
concluding
today.
this one. I was just showing this one small thing. Yeah. So it will be visible like this one. Okay. So I hope you guys getting the points, and I'm not going that much fast.
So,
We
Humaira,
will-
whatever
Yeah.
editing or whatever we need to add or edit, we'll do in Dataverse table, and here we'll just add the records.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now here in the model, here in this application, we are just performing the things. We are adding, we are deleting, we are updating. And all the development we are doing in the Dataverse for this particular application of apps. Getting?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay then. We'll continue tomorrow